1966 would be a devastating year for Japanese aviation, where public confidence in air travel would be shaken to the nation's core. It all started on February the 4th, when an all-Nippon Airways flight number 60, a Boeing 727, disappeared in clear skies while on final night approach to Tokyo's Haneda Airport. Bodies and wreckage were soon found after, 10.4 kilometers from the airport, in Tokyo Bay. People who lived along the shoreline reported seeing flames in the sky at around 7 PM, which was about the same time that the plane was due to land. Fishermen and Defence Force personnel soon started the gruesome task of collecting bodies from the bay. They collected about 20 bodies when an ANA spokesman announced the discovery of the plane's submerged fuselage, which still had many people strapped into their seats. All 133 people on board died. The devastating loss of life would represent the single most deadliest aviation disaster in human history up until that time. The exact cause of the accident has never been found. The pilot was in constant contact with the air traffic control during final approach and didn't report any anomalies. A following investigation didn't reveal any technical issues with the aircraft. Precisely a month later, Canadian Pacific Airlines Flight 402, a Douglas DC-8, clipped the approach lights and sea wall whilst attempting a night landing during poor weather conditions once again at Haneda Airport. The result was a half-a-mile long trail of burning aircraft that disintegrated along the runway, leaving bodies strewn across the entire length. Of the 72 people on board, only 8 would survive the deadly ordeal. One of the deceased passengers was Vice President of ABC News, who was touring the network's Asian bureau. A Japanese government-appointed investigation team delivered their report 2 years later. It cleared the air traffic control staff and system of fault, and noted that the pilot had indicated that he was planning to divert to Taiwan before being convinced to make one final attempt. The report speculated poor visibility could have created an optical illusion that could have confused the pilot. The final probable cause statement concluded that the pilot misjudged the landing approach under unusually difficult weather conditions. Less than 24 hours later, and with Flight 402's wreckage still smouldering next to the runway, British Overseas Airways Corporation Flight 911 started taxiing out for takeoff. This video was the last recorded footage of the aircraft on that fateful morning, just minutes before it would disintegrate mid-air over the mountains near Mount Fuji. The Boeing 707 would take off without incident, reaching an altitude of 4,900 metres, well above the 3,776 metres of the tallest mountain peak in the region. Whilst over the mountains, the aircraft encountered strong air turbulence, causing it to break up mid-air and crash into the forest below, spreading its debris over 16 kilometres. 124 people would lose their lives in this tragic mid-air accident. But before they perished, one passenger was filming the mountains below on a Super 8 film recorder, just as the aircraft started to break up. As fate would have it, several producers and film directors of the James Bond movie You Only Live Twice were scheduled to be on board. They missed their flight to attend a ninja demonstration which would ultimately save their lives. The investigation report concluded that the aircraft encountered abnormally severe air turbulence, which exerted an air force that was more powerful than the aircraft was designed to handle. Then, nearly 6 months later, on August 26, a Japanese Airlines Convair 880 crashed on takeoff from Haneda Airport. The flight was a training exercise which killed all 5 crew members on board. Witnesses reported that the aircraft's nose lifted up from the runway, then banked sharply and cartwheeled for unknown reasons. The number 1 engine struck the runway before the plane loaded with fuel burst into flames as it skidded off to one side. All 4 engines broke off, as well as the nose section which contained the crew. By the time rescue services had arrived, there were no survivors. The reason for the air disaster remains a mystery, till this day. To close out this deadly year in Japanese aviation, we have ANA Flight 533. On November 13th, the Japanese-made YS-11 aircraft departed from Osaka International Airport for the short flight to Matsuyama, where it was cleared to land. On its final approach, the plane was higher than normal and overshot the runway by 460 metres, where it continued on the ground before taking off again. It reached an estimated altitude of only 100 meters. Not having enough lift, it turned left and crashed into the sea at approximately 8:30 p.m. The reason for the loss of altitude that caused the crash has never been determined by investigators and remains a mystery till this very day. The combined effects of the 5 accidents in 1966 shook public confidence in commercial aviation in Japan to a point where both Japan Airlines and all Nippon Airways were forced to scale back some domestic services due to reduced demand. Okay guys, 1966 was a dark year to fly in Japan. I find it hard to believe that 3 of the 5 accidents remain unresolved. What do you guys think about that? Have any of you guys come across the Super 8 footage of the mid-air breakup on the internet? If you have, leave a link in the comments section below. Anyway guys, I'm Mike, thanks for watching and I'll see you on the next one.